Hi everyone, my name is Olga and this is Primelang.
Hi everyone, it's Yana, and today we'd like to talk about exams, international exams primarily. And we will, in our previous video, it's actually the one we did in Russian. We discussed about how to determine a level of your of your knowledge of the language, and we said some rather negative things about the exams and all this stuff. But today we'll take a different look at those exams, and we will discuss some things that are related to them. So Olga, tell me, do you often prepare for exams, and which in your experience are the most frequently required, or that are on demand the most?
Okay, yes, so I do prepare for exams once in a while, and the most frequent cases are, of course, the IELTS and the TOEFL. Also, I don't know if it should count, but I prepare quite often for the EGE, which is the Russian
Russian
state
state
exam.
exam. Hmm.
Well, sometimes I prepare for some very rare and unexpected exams, so you never know actually what you will have to work with. What about you? What exams do you prepare for?
Well, I prepare mostly for IELTS and for some Cambridge exams. Cambridge University has a, a, a line of exams, or a whole list of exams for different levels. And I must say, my experience shows that the most popular ones are the ones that have more or less higher level, upper intermediate or advanced. Sometimes it's level B1, which is intermediate, and the truth is that the exams that are most interesting for potential employers or for universities are of high levels. And so today we will also talk about maybe some things that all of these exams have in common, because naturally we don't have time to look at each one of those exams. And anyway, but it's always a challenge, and it's always incredibly interesting. And so, Olga, which exam do you think, or no, it's not my question. I want to ask you, what do you think all of the exams have in common? All of these exams, and
Well, it's a complicated question. So I'd say they mostly have in common some general structure because most of the exams have these parts related to language activities. So will probably have listening, reading, probably writing, though I'd say not always speaking, maybe grammar, vocabulary grammar, something like this. So most of these parts you can expect to encounter in an international exam.
Mhm.
Um, well, and of course, they try to estimate your general level of knowledge of the language. So that's probably their main common feature. And also, I think it's a very good idea at the beginning of this video to talk about the reasons why it can be a good idea to take an international exam. Because as Yana, you've just said, we made some quite negative comments about this idea in one of our previous videos. So maybe now it's worthwhile to explain that it's not always such a bad idea. So of course, there are obvious reasons, like you can need these exams to enter some university or to start some studies in a different country or to get a job in a different country. And sometimes employers in your country might require that as well. But even if this is not your case, it can be a good idea to kind of put all your knowledge together, to emphasize your problems for yourself, like to see what is easy for you, what is maybe more difficult, where you have problems, and so on and so forth. Do you agree, Yana? Do you have
Yes,
something there?
well, I kind of I think that yes, it might be a good idea. It only on the condition that you are very emotionally strong person, because any exam is additional stress. You have limited time. Yeah, sorry, I think I'm moving back to the negative. But anyway, I'll try to not be very negative. Anyway, and you will have limited time, and some people maybe are slower thinkers, which is not a problem, I don't think. In real life, if you need to write something or talk about something, you don't always have definite time limits, and sometimes you can take your time, and in the exam you don't have that opportunity. And yet, uh, you see, if you know something very well, for instance, if you are good at grammar, or if you're good at different vocabulary uses, then you will have no problem with that, and you can sort of put it aside and say, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, at this is fine. But if you see that you're having trouble writing certain kind of essays or whatever, maybe you will say to yourself, yeah, okay, this is kind of this is something I need to work more on. And yet, again, yes, sorry, I'm not being very positive again. The thing is that when you are doing the exam, when you are deciding to take an exam, it's not like you come to an exam without knowing what to expect. Usually people come to me and to all other teachers, and they say, oh, I need to take, for example, IELTS, and we look at the exam structure and we work on different task types. And so by the time the exam actually comes, the student is pretty much aware of what's going to happen. And if most of the students, especially the conscientious ones, they're already well prepared, and it should be no surprise for them. So I'm not really sure if this can objectively identify what your level is, but I still think sometimes it could be a really good chance. But if I have never taken any international exams, because no, excuse me, that's not true. I took TOEFL, but there was
Yes, right.
many years ago. I don't even remember how it was. I was young and naive, and I thought life was super easy, and I guess it was back then for me. Anyway, but after that, I haven't had any need to take an international exam, and I don't see why I should do it just because I know this would be really stressful. And
Yes, so just to get the certificate, yes, to
yeah,
impress.
to impress my potential
Mhm.
maybe students or employers, but I'm not going to do it because I don't like stress. Just and I mean we all have stress in our life, but I don't want to add any extra stress, really. And so I'd
Okay,
I'd
so
rather not.
can I argue here, because I kind of agree with you on this, and I guess this is what I believe deep inside. But I also kind of realized that there is another side to it, and if you take an exam, there will be some positive effect anyway. Like I've noticed that when I prepare my students, when I have a student and we work for a while, and I'm pretty happy with their level, they are pretty happy with their level, and then one day they come to me and say, okay, I've decided to take an international exam, can we start preparing for that? And when we start preparing, we both we find out that we have lots of holes in our knowledge of the language, right? Like I think when you prepare for an exam, you necessarily pick up lots of formal vocabulary, formal structures, which maybe you will not use otherwise in your life. But once you know them, they make your language more sophisticated. They add some flavor to your language, even if you don't use some academic formal language in your day-to-day life, in your work, in your studies, whatever. Still something changes. And so I think that's some positive effect. And when you yourself prepare as a tutor, for example, when you take an exam, it kind of doesn't let you slack down.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
something like this.
Well, maybe, but I think for me it's enough to prepare students. And I don't feel that I want to go actually and take the exam. But, with the help of my students, I also, figure out what problems my language skills have. And you know, because I don't just come to a lesson and say, okay, let's do something. I prepare for that lesson. If it's an exam lesson, I do a lot of research into what I need to do, and I think I do actually more than I would have done just if I were a student, if I were to prepare myself for this exam, because I'm not only thinking how to you know, whether I understand this material or not, but I need to think about how to explain something to a student. And so that alone helps me keep fit, so to speak, you know. But the exam setting itself, for me, this is extremely stressful, you know, and I wouldn't put myself through that unless I absolutely had to. Well, anyway, but yes, I agree with Olga that it, you know, it definitely keeps you in shape, and it gives your level some validation, because we do have some situations when we need it, you know, when we need to show people, yes, okay, I have this level, and this is my paper that confirms it, you know, my certificate or whatever. And I would like to go back to, you know, what I asked earlier about what these exams have in common. Olga mentioned that, yes, all of these exams test different, all of your skills, listening, speaking, reading, writing. And, you know, in that there could be grammar and vocabulary. So they test your language on all sides. And if we talk about the most popular exams, such as TOEFL, IELTS, and levels B2 and C1 exams, you must know that if you have, for instance, I don't know, level A2, and if you need TOEFL, please don't. You know, I think that it maybe isn't a very good idea to start preparing for exams, because I've had situations when someone came to me and said, well, you know, I have pre-intermediate level right now, but I need TOEFL to do TOEFL in December, and I need at least 118 points. If in case you don't know, the maximum on TOEFL is now 120. So, you know, and you know,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
so it's a very common request. In fact, it happens all the time. It's like people don't realize what's going on. So it's really, every time it happens, I'm like,
Yeah, I'm a
speechless.
little bit baffled, and I said no, of course, to that student, because
Yes,
I knew
right.
I couldn't help. And so please, you know, be prepared that you will have to study very, very hard if you when you start preparing for exam, and give it time. So when you know that you need to take an exam, even if you have a high level, you need to get used to the exam structure, to the time limits, to many different things that are connected to these exams. So give yourself plenty of time to prepare for any exam that you choose to take. And
Right, yeah. So let's stop here and maybe specify, in your opinion, how long does it take to get, let's say, from A1 or from scratch to B2, for example?
a couple years.
Right. So I'd say
Yes.
a year if you really work hard and if you're dedicated and you have skills. In a year you can get that. So I'm talking about a good solid B2, right? Not just
No,
some.
well, you know, I don't believe that 1 year is enough. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a pessimist.
Okay. Okay.
I think that it's a maybe years sometime, but yeah, if you study like a few hours every day, then yes, maybe 1 year would work. But
Right. So that's like a total minimum, no less than that, and
mhm,
probably more. And so if you come to a tutor and you have 3-4 months and you want to get from A1 or A2 to B2, well, you need a reality check, basically.
right,
So.
right, right. You know, that's just not going to happen. And also, in one of our previous videos, again in the Russian ones, we talked about homework. And if you're studying general language just for yourself for no particular reason,
Mm-hmm.
you can choose whether to do
Mm-hmm.
the homework or not. But if you're doing the exam prep, you must do a lot of self-study. I would say no less than 50% or maybe more
Right.
of the material that you need to learn. You will have to learn on your own. The tutor will only guide you through some things, help you to get over some hard things, but a lot of the stuff is going to be it will have to be studied on your own, even if you have all the time in the world. You know, some things need to be processed and practiced without a tutor at your elbow guiding you.
Like writing, for example, you cannot write an essay during the lesson because you need,
Right.
for
Mhm.
example, for a good essay, and you need to time yourself to do that. Otherwise, it will take the whole lesson, and what's the point? And well, often I ask my students to do complete variants, like the whole reading section or the whole listening
Right.
section. That's timed, and you cannot do that during the lesson. So yes,
Right. So
provide time for that.
So if you are looking into taking an exam, please be very dedicated about it if you want good results. If you don't want good results, or if you don't care, I suggest that you not do it at all, because what's the point, you know, if you don't.
Yeah, so again, it's expensive, it's time consuming,
Right.
and stressful, and yes, what's the point exactly?
Well, I don't know if this turned out a very positive exam supporting kind of video, but we've tried to be, you know, well, I'm not going to say objective, because I have never taken, I've told you that already. I can't be entirely objective, but I've tried to be honest. Okay, let's say it like that. And I'm sure Olga has too.
Right. So, well, as for me, I've taken some exams, and also I can say I've been watching this for years, because either I've been preparing my students or I've been looking into some studies abroad. I have had different situations in my life, and I've had a lot of connection to this in some different ways from time to time. Yes, so now and then. So I think I can form an opinion about this at least.
Oh, and by the way, so I want to mention one thing. There are some students who come to me and they ask me, oh, have you taken this exam? And I say no. And they say, okay, then I can't, you know, I don't want to study with you, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the exam format. So the thing is that unlike, well, olden times, so to speak, when a person comes into a university or into high school, and without really knowing what questions there will be, what kind of you know, what they're going to you know, what's going to be tested. Now with international language exam, situation is very different. You know, it's very easy to look up the exam demos, exam structure, and so it is not necessary for a teacher, for your tutor, to have actually taken the exam themselves, you know, because everything is available. And when you come to the exam, there will be no surprises. It is expected that you know what's going to be, because you can't really ask any questions about the format or the structure of the exam. So trust me, your teacher doesn't necessarily have to have taken the exam in order to be able to prepare you well for it.
Yes, and by the way, it's very often about structure and about formats. So you really need to prepare. You cannot leave just 1 or 2 weeks for that unless you are at the proficiency level, and format is the only thing you have to work on. So, well, keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Well, so it seems to me that we've covered all the bases, Olga,
Right.
unless you have something else to say. So I hope that this video has been clear and comprehensive, and hopefully we've covered all that there is to say about exams. And yet, of course, if you have questions, please be sure to drop us a comment, to contact us in any way you can. We always leave our contact info in the description to all our videos, so be sure to do that. And you know, we'll be happy to share with you whatever we failed to mention here.
Yes, and I think we will continue speaking about specific exams in our future videos. So if there is some exam that you would like us to talk about, once again, drop us a comment and we will make sure to do that.
Yeah, so, and of course, remember to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel. And
Subscribe,
you know,
yes.
yes,
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you. Bye.